What if I told you in Seoul there is a magical place, a little creek right in the middle of the city that emerged only in 2005? You probably think I'm crazy, but this place exists. This is the Cheonggyecheon, only on Albi Eats World. Hey guys, welcome back. Today I am so excited to show you another one of my favorite summer hanging spots in Seoul. But first, if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to Albi Eats World. We have so many more adventures to go on together. The Cheonggyecheon is really a special place. It is the perfect spot to hang out with your friends, and it has a super interesting history. On this episode, we'll also see how it looks in the winter, and we'll make a short stop in the neighboring areas of Budae Jjigae and Gwancheol-dong. But first, let's see how you get here. So, if you remember, a couple of weeks ago we visited Bukchon, the best place in Seoul to experience Korean traditional culture. We got a chance to talk about hanboks, the Korean traditional dresses, and hanoks, the Korean traditional houses. We also had some amazing food, so if you have not seen that episode yet, I will leave the link in the description below. Well, back then, we started our adventure from Dongdaemun, the royal palace that you will definitely have to visit if you ever get to Seoul. Now, if instead of going north towards Bukchon we go south along the street Sejong-daero, we will be going in the direction of the Cheonggyecheon. We will walk past the statues of King Sejong the Great, who was personally responsible for creating the Korean alphabet, and that's why he's holding a book right there, and of Admiral Yi, one of the coolest characters in Korean history. Let me tell you about him shortly by recommending you this amazing movie. The Admiral Roaring Currents tells the story of how Admiral Yi managed to repel a huge Japanese invasion with only 12 ships thanks to the Korean amazing turtle ships. It stars Choi Min-sik of Oldboy fame, and it is one of the most successful Korean movies ever. Anyway, if we continue past all of this, we get to the place I wanted to show you today. This is the Cheonggyecheon. The first time I ever booked a flight to Seoul, I remember googling the city and finding a picture of the Cheonggyecheon. I still remember it so vividly because it looked like nothing I had ever seen before. I remember thinking how beautiful it was. But what is it exactly? So, the Cheonggyecheon is a little stream that runs from west to east in the center of Seoul for around 8.5 kilometers. It connects many important and cool neighborhoods, so it is a good way to explore the city. More importantly, it is one of the most special and coolest places I've ever been in. It is perfect to just sit down with your friends to chat and relax, which is what I do best. And if you want, why not? Get yourself a beer and some snacks from a convenience store and spend the day away just having fun while sitting by the water. The Cheonggyecheon is actually really clean, so don't be afraid to dip your feet in. But how did such a magical place appear in the middle of one of the world's busiest cities? Well, that is actually an interesting story. The Cheonggyecheon was originally just a normal little stream. It is a very old picture from 1905 depicting it. However, when Korea developed in the late 20th century, it was covered up to make space for a highway. So it lay dormant for around 50 years. But as Korea became a global powerhouse, in 2003, the then mayor of Seoul decided to renovate the area, and in 2005, it opened in its current form. This project was at the time quite controversial as the renovation cost around $900 million, but today it is loved by both locals and tourists that come here to enjoy this amazing and unique place. I found myself coming back here quite often while living in Seoul. I honestly can't think of a more relaxing place in the city. Just look at this scenery, isn't it incredible? And as we said in the last episode, Korea is super safe. Even as darkness approaches, you will find plenty of people walking along the Cheonggyecheon and chilling on its banks. But if you want a proper Korean meal, there's a place with plenty of options just next door. So let's fast forward to the winter. I want you to show you Gwancheol-dong. First, the Cheonggyecheon in the winter is not as popular as it is in the summer, but it has its own beauty. People still take walks up and down the stream. I would probably recommend against putting your feet in the water though, because with Seoul's freezing winter temperatures, it is probably not the best idea if you want to keep your fit. Jjigae, the area across the river from Gwancheol-dong, is really close to Myeongdong, the shopping capital of Seoul that we explored a while ago, where we ate the sweet and salty jjimdak and the spicy dak galbi. I'll leave the link in the description below in case you missed it. So if you're ever around this area, don't forget to check out Myeongdong too. Back to Jjigae. This area is mainly offices. These are the headquarters of Mirai Asset, one of Korea's biggest financial companies. But in Korea, wherever there are offices, you will also find something else. Something like Gwancheol-dong, a small area filled with a multitude of amazing restaurants to satisfy all the cravings of the ever-working Korean salaryman. And here we have the Avenue of Youth, the main streets of Gwancheol-dong that cuts the area right through the middle. Perpendicular to this, you will find all the interesting side alleys. Look at all the signs and posters. There is so much clutter. It looks like so much fun to me. I want to point out something though. In Korea, restaurants are not just on the ground floor. In commercial areas, you will often find that you need to take an elevator to get to your dining place of choice. Also, just a tip. In Seoul, you will always find huge clusters of outstanding restaurants and bars around universities and offices. I think this trend is due to many factors. Firstly, rent in Seoul is quite high and kitchens are small, so many prefer not cooking at home if possible. Secondly, Koreans are quite social, enough of a wide network of friends that they see for dinner and drinks every once in a while. And lastly, Korean working hours are quite long, and I'm being generous by only saying long. So for workers, it is a lot more convenient to just grab a bite on the go. And a dish that is popular when meeting friends can be found here. You're about to see one of the most famous Korean dishes out there. We are talking about the legendary Budae Jjigae. While it cooks, let me tell you how this dish came into existence. Following the Korean War in the 50s, South Korea found itself in quite a rough economic situation, so there was not a lot of fresh meat around. What they did manage to obtain though was spam and sausages from American bases that were, and still are, present in Korea. Side note, American military presence is a very contentious topic in the country. Check out the movie The Host by Parasite Oscar-winning director Bong Joon-ho for a metaphorical take on the subject. Yes, I love movies. Let me know if it's annoying, but watch the movie. Anyway, back to a happier subject, our soupy friend. So what is in it, you ask? Well, let's start with the basic. We have some classic instant noodles, but we double down on the noodles with some glass noodles as well. I love how chewy these are. Then the aforementioned spam. It's bad for you, I know, but listen to me. In Korea, it is amazing. Don't ask me why or how. Some tok, rice cakes, the chewy food of choice of the gods. Trust me on this one. Also some sausage, which you'd be surprised to find, translates to sausages. And the most amazing thing in the world, kimchi. There are a lot of other ingredients that go into making this masterpiece, such as anchovy broth and gochujang. All you need to know though is that it is the best stew ever. That was the perfect dinner. As you can see, in Gwancheol-dong there are so many restaurants and pochangmacha, street food stalls to satisfy your cravings after work. Before ending this episode, I wanted to talk about an interesting but serious topic while we take a night stroll. You know I love Korea, and I've often wondered if I should try and move to Seoul permanently. But one thing that has always stopped me from doing this is the work culture here. There is a lot of pressure to be successful and to dedicate yourself completely to work. It can be a very tough environment, and some of my friends that have gone down this route have struggled to cope with it. Let me also give you another fascinating example of Korean working culture. Let's say you finish all your assignments around 6 p.m. Can you leave for the day? No, you can only leave when your boss does. And when does he leave? When his boss does. And so this repeats all the way up to the highest ranking manager in the office. And sometimes he doesn't leave until midnight. So you will have to sit there, staring at your boss, while he stares at his boss until this cascading waiting game comes to its end. Plus, you know, I'm Italian, I eat pizza and take afternoon naps. How well would I fit in all of this? I don't know. Jokes aside guys, if you ever visit this area, pop into Gwancheol-dong to grab some delicious food. So what did you think of the Cheonggyecheon? Isn't it one of the coolest places you've ever seen? And have you ever tried Budae Jjigae? I love it, but what about you? Let me know in the comments below, and remember to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. I will see you soon with more delicious adventures, and as always, ciao for now!